This Bowers Wilkins Z2 speaker was very kindly sent over to me by David. And David says, my Bowers Wilkins Z2 speaker became faulty recently. I wondered if you might like it for the channel. Great condition and fully boxed. It powers on and the red light pulses. I gather this means a power supply issue, protection mode. I have seen fixes on the large Zeppelin speaker, which I think Vince did one of. Unfortunately, it has a different power supply setup and I can't relate it back to the Z2 or find any more info. So he's tried a few things already. The external power supply, he's obviously measured the voltage, seems to be okay. He's used the bench power supply, again, it's the same thing. Couldn't see anything on visual inspection and has changed over the largest capacitor. And he sent me the capacitor that he took out. So I am just going to verify the power supply. So we do have a green light on the power supply there. And on voltage DC, yeah, 15.97 volts. So that should be okay. It should be 16 volt at 3 amp. While I'm here, I might as well check this capacitor. So this looks like 470 microfarad, 50 volt. 470. Well, that's is that? Yeah, 0.464. Is that millifarad? I can't remember. But yeah, that's 470 microfarad, isn't it? So I think that capacitor was probably okay. Obviously, I don't have an ESR reading from it, but I don't have an ESR meter. So I'll just show you what it's doing with the red light. Let's plug it in. Power supply on the back. And there's a red light on the front. And there it pulses. And the on-off button is here. It doesn't do anything whether you press it in or hold it down. Oh, he says. I held it down and it's gone off. Okay, that was a good 10 seconds though. Let's try turning it back on. Oh, there we go. So maybe that's just some kind of reset, but obviously the reset doesn't do anything. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to fix this, but let's crack it open. And let's see if we can figure out what's going wrong. He has put some instructions on how to open it up, which is very useful.
Taking this apart ain't as easy as it looks. In fact, it's pretty hard. It kinda sucks. What the hell makes that red light pulse? Let's ask the CDs what you say. Could we change this? Moving on with Tim, I'll smoke the bug. Rebels, how can I make this work? The protection mode is kicking in. Anthony Dean, where do I begin? Could it be the caps, a Sigma 4, or one of the ICs? Adam Taylor, my initial thoughts coming up zero. Need a little bit of help from the support hero. If Frito TV can only sit and watch as I bumble around thinking a badger squatch. Will I ever get this open? Eventually, but after Dr. Princess Wizard and the HHG. Maxi Fish, Kangle B Money, Eric Broders, Hemi 84, Damo DB, Stuart Coles, Lodger Hammy, Cheesy, Heinzie Hall, Inflame, Terraput and Mackie. Boom! Oz, Newton, Alice, Margaret, Troy, Frensky Friends, Kill Switch, Fox, Cutter, Chris Jenkins, Esther and Keegan, Infinity in tow, Nick Adams and the infamous Monkey Joe. Tokyo. Peace.
Wow. That was not easy to get into. Right, I think I can see the capacitor that has been replaced there because it's smaller than the one, the pads underneath. I'm going to try and take this board out. Hopefully I can do that without much trouble, but... Right, we're separate. So this bit should be absolutely fine. There should be no reason why... Yeah, that'll be fine. Right, finally. What have we got? Well, the first thing I've noticed there is that the one that David has put in is a 16 volt 470 microfarad, and the one that he's taken out is a 50 volt. I mean, I don't know whether that's going to cause the red pulsing light. So the power jack goes in there. Where is the red LED? That's this here, isn't it? So let's disconnect that. So if I plug this in now, are we going to get the red LED there? Yes, we are. Okay, well that's useful. That means I don't have to put it fully back together. Right, well, let's leave that in, and let's see what voltage we've got around that capacitor that's been replaced. Multimeter in voltage DC. Okay, it's 15.95 volts. So 16 volt might be okay. But, you know, it had 50 volts in, probably for a reason. 3.3. Got 16 volts at that one. 16 volts at that one. 16 volts. I think I'm going to replace that. Like I say, I don't know if the one that he took out is okay. It was measuring 470 microfarad, but that's not to say that it was okay because I haven't got an ESR reading on it. Let's take this one out. Disconnect power supply first, obviously. And I'm not saying it is this, it's just, let's start with the obvious things. Right, I'm just going to see if I've got any of those capacitors. I won't have any of that style, but I might have some normal ones. Sadly, I don't, but I do have some 470 microfarad 35 volts, so I figure that might be better. So I'm just going to try and, I'm not going to put this in properly, I'm just going to test it with it. Right, okay, let's see if that makes any difference. I don't think it will, but it was worth trying. Plug it in. Still doing it. Right, so it's still doing the same thing. So we can safely assume that that capacitor is not an issue. We've got some other capacitors in this area. Let's just try taking those out. Once I've done that, I'll get this under the microscope and I'll have a look round, but David did say he did a visual inspection, couldn't see anything, but we can give that a go. God, I hate these capacitors. Right, I'm going to try some low melt solder on these, I think. Right, before we do the other one, let's measure that one out of circuit and see what we're getting. 227. And what should it be? 220. So yeah, there's probably nothing wrong with that. And I guess it's going to be the same story for the other one, but while we're here, let's do it. Okay, let's test that one. Okay, 236-ish. And it should be 220. So that one, again, is probably okay. But now they're out, let's pop two new ones in to see if that makes any difference. Right, these are 220 microfarad 25 volts. Let's put these in. Again, I'm not going to do this properly. I'm just going to tack them in for now. Okay, let's see if that's made any difference. I'm gonna go and say no. No. Right then, it's enough messing about with capacitors. Let's put this under the microscope. So this is where the capacitors are that I've just crudely replaced. That should be 100. I mean, I suppose I should really replace that one as well, but the fact that I replaced the other 3 in there and it's made no difference, it's probably not going to be that. We've got lots of 0 ohm resistors. got like a Wi-Fi board here. Could it be a fault with the Wi-Fi board? I mean, yeah, I suppose it could be. I think I'm going to try and disconnect the Wi-Fi board, and then I'll know if I'm, you know, working on a problem on the main board or whether that is throwing something off, because it might well be. I really don't want you to take this out. Right, finally. Right, that's the Wi-Fi board off. Right, let's see what it's doing now. I'm going to guess the same thing. Yep, exactly the same. There's nothing to do with that. So at least we know the problem is on this board somewhere. Problem is where? I suppose I should go around and just check for shorts, but I don't know if it's going to be that. I mean, it could still be a problem with that power supply, couldn't it? If the power supply internally is not giving out good voltage, I mean, it is giving out 16 volts. I'm going to try the bench power supply, just see if it does anything different. Right, we've got the LED there. Right, let's turn this on. We've got 16 volts, 3 amps, which is what the power supply should be outputting. Yeah, exactly the same. It is drawing. No, it's not. It was drawing 0.08. Oh, it is. Now it's dropped again. But that's not a lot at all. That's probably just enough to power the LED. I don't think anything's going to be getting hot on this board. But something else that we can try, isn't it? No, nothing. We've got nothing getting hot, as I expected. Right, what's going to put this thing into protection mode? What's responsible for doing that? It's going to be one of those chips, isn't it? But why does it feel the need to go into protection mode? Ah, we do have a short. We've got 2 shorts on these capacitors here. Let's get this back under the microscope. Exciting. It was in this area here. So I've got black probe on ground. What? Hey? It was there a minute ago. I don't understand. I really don't understand. That was definitely there. Definitely. And all I've done is I've picked it up and put it under the microscope. No, I must have just dreamt it. But I can't see how. How had I dreamt? A dream? Dreamt. I dreamt a dream. Right, it's moved. Please still be there. Here. There's a short there now. It's moved. What is going on? Don't tell me it stopped. It stopped. Someone explain this to me, please. Let's see if it's miraculously gone back over here. It has! No, it hasn't. Has it gone somewhere else? It's gone back over here. And now it's stopped. What? Right, this is where I'm way out of my depth. Right, well that chip there is the amplifier. Class D amplifier, I think it said. So it's unlikely to be that. I mean, it could be. Now these ones are shorting. And now they're not. What's going on? I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to fix this. If I had a damaged component or something that I could see, but like I've got shorts moving around the board, and I don't understand how. It's not something I've ever seen before. Right, well, I first noticed it down here, didn't I? and then here. And neither of those are shorting now. So I think I'm going to take this cap off. To see what happens. Just clutching at straws, as usual. Right, let's plug it in now. Same. Well, I don't think there's anything to do with that. Well, let's measure some voltage. Let's put that cap back on and just measure some voltage around the place. Dimmer in voltage DC. So we get 15 volts coming out of that. 15 volts going in. Right, I've just temporarily plugged everything back in just in case that was throwing an error. Still doing the same thing. We've still got the pulsing red light. I've got my thermal cam here. And if we look up here, there are 3 things getting... They're not hot. They're warm. That's 21 degrees. That's the hottest. So we've got here, which is a coil there. Then the diode next to it. And then there is a little IC there. They're the only things that are getting warm. So one of those, presumably that IC there, is telling this thing not to turn on. That's my guess. Right, I'm going to have a look at that chip and let's see if we can get a data sheet for it. Right, it's that one there. 54231 35M AFFC. No idea. Right, it's a 28 volt input step down DC-DC converter with eco mode, apparently. Over voltage protection, shutdown, thermal shutdown protection. So pH pin is the source of the internal high side power MOSFET. This pin is the error amplifier output and input to the PWM comparator. Connect frequency compensation components to this pin. So VSense is bottom left. This pin is the inverting node of the transconductance error amplifier. Right, it says here on pin 1, boot. A 0.1 microfarad bootstrap capacitor is required between the boot and pH pins. So that's those two. If the voltage on the capacitor falls below the minimum requirement, the high side MOSFET is forced to switch off until the capacitor is refreshed. And I can see a capacitor at the top of it there. Let's go back to the picture. So yeah, we've got a capacitor just above it there. But, I mean, it's unlikely to be that, isn't it? Right, so the enable pin is pin 3 of this chip. This pin is the enable pin. To disable, pull below 1.25 volts. Float this pin to enable. Right, let's just see what voltages we've got on the input. Right, so pin 3, which is this one here. 2.7 volts. On the boot, we've got 9.3. And then the next one is the input voltage, which is the 16 volts. So that can be 3.5 to 28 volts. And then the last one, we're measuring 1.8. This pin is slow start pin, and an external capacitor connected to this pin sets the output rise time. 1.8 volts. I mean, I'm guessing that's doing what it's supposed to do, but the truth is, I don't know. Right, I think this one's beat me. I've been going around this board now for ages, and I don't really know what to look for, if I'm honest. There appears to be voltages present. We've got the 3.3 volts, we've got a 1.8. The 16 volts going into it seems fine. I'm wondering whether it's that chip, but it does seem to be doing what it's supposed to do. Sorry, David. There must be someone in the comments that's worked on one of these things before. I couldn't find any information on this online. Nothing at all. But David can't be the only person with this problem. So if anyone can offer any guidance, please put it down in the comments below. I mean, I have condensed this video down quite a lot because there's like several hours of me prodding and poking around on this. But there might be something that I've missed. So please let me know. Stupid Z2?
There's a problem with my speaker. This stupid